So, you drop a glass on the kitchen floor, right?
Oh, yeah.
Always a mess.
Right. Shatters into 100 pieces, and you just blame gravity
Naturally.
because it's physics. It's comforting, you know?
Yeah, it's a rule of the universe.
Exactly. But what if public health officials who are actively fighting a terrifying, deadly Ebola outbreak right now, what if they suddenly had to manage a population who fundamentally believed that the shattered glass and the virus itself were just like lines of faulty code?
I mean, that completely dismantles the shared foundation we rely on to survive.
Right.
It replaces a biological threat with a psychological, almost existential contagion.
And that is exactly the paradigm-shifting territory we are dropping you into today.
It's a heavy one.
It really is. Whether you are actively prepping for a meeting or trying to catch up on tech philosophy, or you're just insanely curious about the actual fabric of the universe, this deep dive is designed to fundamentally challenge how you view the world around you.
We're looking at a fascinating stack of source material today, specifically discussions and essays surrounding the Parallel Observer.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's the project created by John Grant, the founder and CEO of Innovate XR.
Right. And it's a remarkably thought-provoking framework.
It really is.
Grant and his team are taking the simulation hypothesis, the idea that our universe is a highly advanced artificial construct, and they aren't just leaving it in a philosophy classroom.
No, they're not.
They are actively applying it as a lens to interpret real-time global news.
And our mission today is to test drive that exact lens.
Let's do.
We are going to look at how this simulated reality framework is being used to make sense of breaking global health crises, massive technological shifts in education, the futuristic evolution of sports, and even some very recent, highly charged political shakeups.
It connects everything.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the most immediate, visceral threat in the source material, which is the May 17th article titled, Health Officials Race to Contain Ebola Outbreak Amid Rising Tensions.
Right. And just to be clear for everyone, the World Health Organization has officially declared this a global emergency.
Yeah, it's serious.
The physical logistics of this are daunting on their own. You have officials scrambling to map transmission vectors, distribute protective equipment, enforce strict isolation wards. It's a massive undertaking.
But the discussions from the Parallel Observer introduce a terrifying new variable to all of this.
They do.
They aren't just looking at the biological pathogen, They are looking at what they call a simulation effect.
Which is fascinating.
Right. They are asking how our perception of reality influences massive public behavior during a crisis.
Because usually in public health, you fight a virus with science and collective action.
Right. Protocols.
Exactly. But the source asks us to consider what happens when a population, which is already under the immense psychological stress of a viral outbreak, begins to collectively question whether their reality is even real.
I was reading this and I couldn't help but picture a video game.
Well, that's a good way to look at it.
I want you, the listener, to imagine you are playing one of those complex life simulator games.
Yeah.
And suddenly the little characters inside the game have an epiphany. They realize they are just pixels on a screen.
A collective awakening.
Exactly. And right as they realize this, their virtual house catches on fire.
Oh, wow.
Do they panic more because the game engine is crashing? Or do they just completely stop trying to put out the fire?
Right, because if it's not real...
Right. I mean, the fire isn't real, the water isn't real, why bother?
That analogy perfectly captures the danger here. If they stop putting out the fire, the whole system burns down.
But I have to push back a little here, practically speaking.
Sure.
104-degree fever feels incredibly real. Internal bleeding feels real.
Very real.
Are you seriously telling me that philosophical musings about being in a simulation would actually stop a population from rushing to the hospital or following basic safety rules?
Right.
Like, does questioning reality really paralyze us while the house burns down?
It's not about an individual ignoring their own fever. That's not the point.
Okay, what is it then?
It's about the breakdown of the shared social contract. That is the exact mechanism the source material is pointing toward.
The social contract.
Right. Public health relies entirely on millions of people agreeing on the ground rules of the physical world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We all agree to quarantine, we wear protective gear, and we trace our contacts because we share a foundational belief that our actions have objective physical consequences.
Right. We agree that the virus is a tangible threat that spreads from person A to person B.
Exactly. But if public unease over reality reaches a critical mass, if people begin to believe the virus is a simulation effect, a manufactured glitch in our perceived reality, or a stress test orchestrated by unknown developers that shared social contract to disintegrate.
Because why follow the rules?
Exactly. Why quarantine if the physical world is an illusion? Why follow government protocols if the government is just part of the program? The breakdown of shared reality becomes a vector for the disease. The philosophical crisis accelerates the biological crisis.
That is terrifying.
If the collective belief in the physical world drops, the physical consequences multiply exponentially.
So a breakdown in belief literally makes containment impossible.
It does.
It's like a stress test of the simulation's hardware, taking the physical system to its absolute breaking point.
And if a global health crisis is a stress test of the hardware, we naturally have to look at how we are programming the software of the next generation.
Oh, that's a great transition.
Which brings us to the profound shifts happening in our education system.
Yeah, because if people start ignoring reality during a physical crisis, what happens when we actively start blurring reality for them from a young age?
Right.
Arizona is essentially testing that right now. This is a massive shift in the source material. Focusing on the article, Arizona embraces AI-first framework, a new era for education.
A total overhaul.
Exactly. Arizona is completely rebuilding its curriculum from the ground up, placing artificial intelligence at the absolute center of the classroom.
Yes, vicious.
And the promises are huge, right? Hyper-personalized learning, unlocking potential, systems that adapt in real time to a child's unique cognitive rhythm.
What's fascinating here is that John Grant's framework doesn't view this as a simple technological upgrade.
No.
No, it isn't just handing middle schoolers faster search engines. It frames this AI integration as a profound ethical and cognitive crossroads.
Okay, how so?
It actively raises questions about where human identity ends and algorithmic influence begins.
Okay, break that down for me. How does a smart curriculum threaten human identity?
Think about the mechanics of this AI-first framework. We aren't talking about a program that just grades multiple choice tests.
Right, it's way past that.
We are talking about predictive cognition. The AI anticipates what a student will struggle with before the student even realizes it.
Wow.
It adjusts the lighting, the pacing of the lesson, the vocabulary used, all in real time.
That is wild.
If an AI is constantly shaping the environment and preemptively smoothing out the friction of learning, the boundary between the student's independent thought and the machine's algorithmic guidance blurs.
I see.
The source suggests we are stepping into a layered reality in the classroom. When that student solves a complex problem, who actually did the learning?
The human or the AI?
Exactly. The human brain or the human-machine hybrid.
That immediately makes me think of the other article highlighted in the Observer discussions. Anomalies abound. Glitches in educational simulations spark inquiry.
Yes.
Researchers are apparently finding all these unexpected anomalies in these highly advanced AI learning environments.
Like what?
Well, they are seeing data outputs that don't make sense, bizarre recursive loops in the learning modules.
Interesting.
So I have to ask the obvious question. Aren't these glitches just bad code?
That would be the simple answer.
Right. Isn't this just a poorly optimized algorithm that needs a software patch from an overworked IT department? Why jump straight to simulation theory?
It's a fair question. But the source material leans heavily into a much more radical interpretation.
Okay.
They view these anomalies not as mere technical errors, but as friction between nested realities.
Nested realities.
Yes. Think about it. If our overarching universe is a simulated reality, it operates on a foundational base layer of code.
Right. The universe's source code.
Now, inside that simulation, we are using advanced artificial intelligence to build our own simulated learning environments for these students. When you run a highly complex simulation inside another simulation, the underlying frameworks are bound to rub against each other. It produces artifacts, glitches.
It's like holding a mirror up to another mirror.
Yeah.
You get that weird infinite visual feedback loop that starts to distort the image.
Precisely. The AI in the Arizona classrooms might be interacting with the underlying mechanics of our reality in ways human developers can't comprehend.
Wow.
It's brushing up against the base code of the universe. It forces us to question what these students are actually interacting with.
Are they just learning math or...
Right. Or is their AI curriculum inadvertently uncovering the raw code of the overarching simulation we all live in?
Okay, if we are already casually altering human cognition and blurring the lines of identity in a 7th grade classroom, the inevitable next step is moving beyond the mind and altering our physical output.
Yes.
We are going to push the absolute boundaries of the human avatar.
The transition from cognitive augmentation to physical augmentation is unavoidable.
It has to happen.
Once you upgrade the software, you want to upgrade the hardware.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The sources dive into a piece from May 18th titled AI-Powered Athletes Redefining Competition in the Phoenix Timeline.
This is a huge shift.
We are seeing athletic programs leveraging AI not just for better dietary tracking or video analysis, but for active, real-time enhancement.
It's next level.
We are talking about pushing humans past traditional biological limits.
We are witnessing the birth of the post-human athlete.
But it completely obliterates the concept of what it means to compete.
It really does.
Let's look at the mechanics of this. Say you have a runner. They aren't just wearing smart shoes. They have a neural link feeding real-time biomechanical data to an AI coach.
Right.
The AI calculates the exact microtear of a muscle fiber, monitors lactic acid buildup by the millisecond, and actively adjusts the runner's gait and stride mid-sprint via microcurrents.
It's optimizing the body in real time.
If that AI-enhanced runner shatters a world record by an impossible margin, where do we draw the line? Did I win the race, or did the algorithm win the race?
That is the crux of the issue, and it connects back to the very essence of being human in a physical world.
Yeah.
I want you to consider what the word fairness even means in this specific context.
Right, because sports have always been...
For millennia, sports have been the ultimate baseline of human physical truth. It's an objective reality test.
Exactly.
Two bodies, bound by the exact same universal laws of biology and physics, competing to see who has optimized their natural form the best.
It's the one place where gravity and biology are supposed to be absolute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the framework from the parallel observer argues that AI augmentation shatters that baseline completely.
Completely.
It's no longer a competition between two people on a track. It is morphed into a profound philosophical debate about the strict limits of natural capability versus artificial intervention.
It's a completely different paradigm.
If we are living in a simulation, the human body, the avatar, is just a vessel with set parameters.
Right.
Maximum speed, maximum endurance.
Right.
AI is acting like a cheat code.
Yeah.
It allows athletes to bypass the developer's original parameters.
It's literally like pulling up the console commands in a PC game and typing in a code to give your character unlimited stamina.
It is the exact same mechanism, just applied to biology.
That is wild.
And this is where the logic scales up dramatically.
Okay.
If we accept that AI can fundamentally blur human agency in the classroom, and if it can act as a cheat code to bypass physical fairness on the track, we are forced to scale this questioning up to the macro level.
How macro are we talking?
Questioning fairness and agency on the individual level translates directly to questioning the fairness and transparency of our highest societal structures.
You mean the systems that actually govern the simulation, our government?
Yes, the overarching management systems of our daily reality.
Now, looking at Tulsi Gabbard's recent resignation through this simulation lens is absolutely fascinating.
It is.
And to be incredibly clear to you listening right now, we aren't taking a political stance here.
Not at all.
We take no sides on the left or the right, and we are not endorsing any political viewpoints regarding government policy or Tulsi Gabbard herself.
Right.
We're just looking impartially at how the parallel observer uses these specific real-world political events to ask much bigger structural questions about human agency and control.
That distinction is vital. We are analyzing the theoretical framework applied to the event, not the politics of the event itself.
With that established, let's look at the societal structures. The source material highlights the release of a highly anticipated book titled Can Democracy Survive AI?
Yes, and the core argument here is intense.
What does the author argue?
The author posits that modern democracies are facing dual existential threats: the rapid, unchecked integration of AI into public infrastructure, and the looming psychological shadow of the simulated reality theory itself.
Wow.
It results in a massive systemic crisis of trust.
And you can see exactly how that happens. Look at the other piece of news they connect this to. Whistleblowers sound alarm on government AI oversight.
Right. People are speaking out.
You have government insiders actively shouting that algorithms are making decisions without human transparency. It represents a deep, visceral societal fear of losing control.
Absolutely.
If black box algorithms are managing resource distribution, surveillance, or policy, and no one understands how they work, then who is actually in charge of our lives?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it fundamentally changes how you view every political movement.
Okay, how so?
The source material goes so far as to apply this exact lens to the article Navigating New Realities, which details the resignation of Tulsi Gabbard.
And on the surface, A political resignation is just politics.
Right.
How does the parallel observer tie a resignation into simulation theory? What is the mechanism there?
The source uses this political shift to spark a deeply philosophical question about intelligence and agency at the highest levels of a simulated system.
Okay.
It asks us to look at macro-level shifts in governance, the resignations, the sudden ideological pivots, the election cycles.
Yeah.
It asks, is the political landscape simply a highly complex play influenced by greater powers within the simulation?
Like, are the politicians effectively operating as NPCs, non-playable characters following a pre-written script to keep the general populace occupied and engaged?
That is the exact implication the framework wrestles with.
That is heavy.
It emphasizes how human agency is deeply intertwined with overarching, potentially engineered narratives.
Right.
If the overarching system is simulated and the AI managing our societal infrastructure is shrouded in secrecy, then major political events might not be organic outgrowths of human will.
What are they then? System patches.
Potentially.
Really?
They might be algorithmic adjustments designed to maintain the simulation's socio-political stability. Or resignation might just be the system recalibrating the tension levels to prevent a total societal crash.
Wow.
And those whistleblowers we mentioned?
Yeah, what about them?
They might not just be sounding the alarm on bad government policy. They might completely unknowingly be sounding the alarm on the architects of the simulation itself.
Oh, man.
They are sensing the algorithms running the show and interpreting it as government overreach.
So what does this all mean? We have covered some truly incredible ground today, and honestly, it's a lot to process.
They have a lot.
We started with the very physical, very tangible terror of an Ebola outbreak, and analyzed how a psychological breakdown in our shared belief in reality that social contract could actually make biological containment impossible.
Which is terrifying.
Then we looked at AI-first classrooms in Arizona and asked if the bizarre glitches in our learning algorithms are actually the friction of nested realities rubbing together.
We examined the post-human athlete, utilizing AI as a biomechanical cheat code to completely bypass the biological parameters of fairness.
And we scaled all of that up to the highest halls of power, looking at whistleblowers and political resignations through the lens of predetermined algorithmic narratives designed to stabilize a simulated society.
It connects every aspect of society.
From the micro tiers of a sprinter's muscles to the macro structures of global democracy, everything is evolving at an absolute breakneck pace.
It really is.
And this specific lens, the framework of the parallel observer, forces us to ask the most uncomfortable question of all. Are we truly in control of our destiny, or are we mere subjects of a much greater, unseen design?
It's the ultimate question.
I want you to really think about how this framework changes the way you will read tomorrow's news. When you scroll through your feed, are you reading about organic, chaotic human events, or are you just reading the latest patch notes of a simulated reality?
It completely rewires your perception of cause and effect.
It does.
And I want to leave you with one final, deeply provocative thought that builds strictly upon John Grant's themes of anomalies and simulated frameworks.
I'm ready.
We've spent a lot of time discussing our own AI causing glitches and whistleblowers exposing the boundaries of oversight.
Right.
But consider the logical endpoint of this trajectory. If our artificial intelligence is advancing fast enough to begin exposing the glitches and the hard limitations of our simulated reality, what happens when humanity finally maps the exact boundaries of the simulation?
Oh, man. What happens when we hit the edge of the map?
Exactly. Does proving, definitively and scientifically, that we are inside a simulation trigger an automatic system reset from the architects to wipe the anomaly?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Or does reaching that level of understanding finally grant humanity access to the developer tools?
That is a thought that is going to keep me up at night. Are we going to crash the game, or are we finally going to become the coders?
It's a huge gamble.
It really is. Well, we want to warmly thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope we've given you a completely new perspective to ponder the next time you look at the headlines. Keep questioning the reality around you.
Because the next time you drop a glass and it shatters on the floor, you might want to look a little closer at the pieces.
Is it gravity? Or is it just a really good physics engine rendering the crash? Until next time.